Hey, what's up, and welcome to the very first episode of Enterprise Tech Talk. My name is Bennett Smith, and I'm the host on this channel. Now, the mission of this channel is really simple. It's to help IT and business leaders learn better ways to collaborate with each other on how to combine technology and innovation with business process. More so than ever in history, technology and innovation are coming at us quicker than they ever have. Yet the desire to reach consumers in new ways is also really important, and it's mission critical to pushing our organizations forward. So this channel is dedicated to discussing all the ways in which we can take business process and the desire to reach our customers in new ways and combine those things with the latest and greatest in technology and innovation in a collaborative, useful way that's efficient and agile and pushes our organizations forward. The second important thing about this channel is that today we launched with 0 subscribers, but as we grow and as we get bigger, as you guys comment in the comment section below and add your thoughts and opinions, and as we create more content, if we're ever fortunate enough to have ad revenue from this channel, all of that ad revenue is going to go back to support charities that support kids learning technology and business. So please share, please get engaged, please pass this along to your friends, and please suggest content that you'd like to see, knowing that all your shares and all of your commentary will ultimately push this content and any ad revenue towards a great place. Now, to get right into episode 1, I want to talk about data integration. There's nothing more important than data integration when you're thinking about how to combine business and IT processes together to push the business forward. So when you think about data integration, you have your typical kind of old school things like TIBCO, ESBs, some legacy tools, maybe like Informatica Power Center on the ETL side, extract, transfer, load to move big batch data sets from here to there. But one thing that's really popping up, and as a matter of fact, I've had 2 analyst calls in the last week with some folks on Wall Street asking about these multiple data integration platforms. And one of the big ones they're asking about is Mulesoft. And the other 2 that they're asking about, and there's certainly more players in this, is Dell Boomi and Informatica's cloud platform, or iPaaS. Now, I've had the fortune of working at both Dell Technologies inside of Dell Boomi and also at Informatica, so I can speak pretty well to those platforms. And I've competed very heavily against Mulesoft, and all 3 are great platforms. Let's just get that right out on the table. They're all 3 great platforms and can fit into your organization in very unique and impressive ways. But there are a few kind of key differences that you should take into account when you're evaluating kind of a modern middleware or a modern integration platform for your organization. And it's really important to get this one underlying core principle right from the beginning, and that's to understand who you are as an organization. Are you a development-centric type organization? Maybe you have a big in-house IT department with lots of developers and you typically like to build your own stuff. Or maybe you're a little bit leaner, or you're a smaller or medium-sized business and you don't have a huge IT staff with a huge development budget, and you're more focused on efficiency and agility. Well, if that's the case, you might want to look a certain direction like an iPaaS, for example, or Dell Boomi or Informatica's cloud. So it's really important to understand who you are as an organization and where you want to be as an organization, and not try to fit a piece of technology into what you're not because you read some Gartner or Forrester report that said either one or the other of these platforms was better. Well, they might be, but it depends on what type of organization that you are. So to get right to it, I want to start with Mulesoft. So if you're more on the development side of the house, there's some important things you should know about Mulesoft, and I'm really going to touch on kind of 4 key areas, and then I'll move over to the iPaaS piece. So if you're on the development side of the house, you should know that Mulesoft is probably the best in class, the best in the business when it comes to a modern API platform. So if you're more on the development side of the house and most of your projects revolve around kind of strict API building and managing type projects, Mulesoft is 100% where you should start. 100%. They're known for this, they're great for this, and they really provide that toolbox to help you build out really anything that you want to build. But there are a couple things that you should know about Mulesoft that if you're more on that agile or efficient side of the spectrum, they may not be so great for your organization. So things like the GUI or the user interface, much more developer-centric as you'd imagine on the Mulesoft side than on the iPaaS side. Things like the installation or implementation effort. Mulesoft started off absolutely as kind of an on-premise type of platform. They then kind of got into the cloud space, but it's not cloud like you would think about Salesforce or Workday traditionally. Their cloud was kind of a cloud washing, if you will, where they took your typical on-prem platform, and they put it into a single instance, single tenant environment, and allowed customers to host it there. And to be clear, that's not a bad thing. If you're a large organization and you like to build your own things and you don't want to be in a tenant with multiple other customers, having a private kind of virtual cloud to host your Mulesoft environment could be a really big value add to your organization. So the fact that it's not a single instance multi-tenant platform is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, it really depends on who you are as an organization and what you want to be as an organization and the data security requirements that you might have. So understand that about Mulesoft. Strong on the API front, very developer-centric platform. The installation effort's going to be a little heavier though. I would say probably around 6 months is a decent average for kind of your average Mulesoft implementation. So it's not something you're going to buy and get started with tomorrow in most cases. Now, Mulesoft has started to move more towards a pure cloud play. And that's definitely something that you should look at and explore. But we're talking kind of traditional strengths here, and Mulesoft's definitely more on that on-premise or kind of private cloud type of environment with a little bit longer implementation time, a GUI that's definitely pushed towards the developers, but with a really robust toolbox around things like API management to really give you the freedom to build pretty much anything you want to build and govern it as you move forward. Now, the last piece I want to talk about is licensing. So when it comes to Mulesoft and licensing, they license much differently than you would see on kind of an iPaaS or a true kind of SaaS model. And that's that they license by cores. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time getting into core count. If you're watching this channel or you're thinking about Mulesoft or you're thinking about some type of middleware platform, you probably know what cores are. But just know that like anything in technology, you run through cores quickly, and it does matter the type of data and the amount of data that you're trying to push through or across the platform. So again, API platform, very strong, very developer-centric GUI, a little bit longer on the installation time, both on-prem and cloud offerings, and Mulesoft's licensed by the core. Now, on the flip side of that, if you're more on the kind of medium or small enterprise side, and definitely even the large enterprises, are making this push towards iPaaS, or this integration platform as a service. Now, what I love about these types of platforms is that they're very often wizard-driven. So if you're an organization that's thinking about ways to bring in other people than your kind of core IT and development team into building integrations and kind of self-service reporting, things like that, having a wizard-driven GUI or UI that's kind of drag and drop, it makes bringing those kind of business analysts or application owners into the data integration and the data management fold much, much easier because they don't have to have a hard coding background to understand how to use the tool. Now, the second piece is agility, and this kind of speaks to the installation piece on the Mulesoft side, or it's kind of the antithesis of that. So these iPaaS platforms are true SaaS, single instance, multi-tenant platforms, which means that really from the time you sign a licensing agreement, really the only thing you're waiting on is for somebody to give you login credentials to your tenant in kind of the master org of that SaaS environment. So from an installation and kind of getting to work perspective, things are going to happen much, much faster inside of a true iPaaS or SaaS product than they are on the Mulesoft side, traditionally speaking. Now, when you're taking all that kind of into effect, right, that's going to, if you're really focused on agility and efficiency, that's something to really keep in mind. If you have projects that if you're bringing cloud platforms in, or you're bringing things like Workday or Coupa or Salesforce or SAP, or you're bringing these things into your org and you want to do some kind of quick integrations, man, it's hard to argue with the value of an iPaaS. So please keep that in mind as you explore your options. The last thing I'll touch on relates to iPaaS is connectivity, or how it's licensed. So much like on the, or unlike on the Mulesoft side, where you see kind of a licensing by core model, typically what the iPaaS vendors care most about is really sources and targets. So what that looks like is if I have one SQL database and I want to integrate that to one instance of Salesforce, and I want to use kind of their branded IP to do it, I have one source and one target, and therefore I'm paying for two connectors, plus kind of the underlying technology package or the platform. But for all intents and purposes, licensing is a little bit more simple. I would say on the iPaaS side, it's very easy to tell what I'm licensed for and what I'm licensed not for because it's sources and targets. Pretty straightforward. Now, what's interesting about kind of Mulesoft and some of these iPaaS vendors is that they started in opposite places. Mulesoft did what I would do, frankly, and that's what they went straight for the big guns, the large kind of Fortune 100, Fortune 500 customers in North America and globally. And they said, here's a really awesome toolbox, take your development talent, build what you want to build, and go from there. And so they have a huge ownership in that space, and they tell a really great story. There was an awesome article in CIO magazine a few months back about Buffalo Wild Wings and using Mulesoft and their IoT platform to monitor beer coming out of a keg tap and corresponding that back to register sales so that they could monitor and make sure that people weren't stealing and giving away free beer at Buffalo Wild Wings. Pretty neat story, very relatable, and Mulesoft's done a great job on the marketing piece, really explaining some kind of unique ways to use the tool. Now, on the iPaaS side, those guys have started a little bit differently. They've started more downstream, again, because their tool is a little bit more simple to use, more focused on kind of the agile efficiency end of the spectrum. They started more downstream in the SMB and mid-market space and are now pushing up into the large enterprise. And look, if you want my truthful opinion, if you're an organization of really any size and you have some development talent, but you also recognize that there is a need today to go fast, to me, it almost makes sense to have both. So I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but I really think it does. I'm a firm believer that organizations of the future and the organizations that are going to win are the ones that can take and combine their data and business applications in a novel way, ways that they haven't done before. And that's going to take both efficiency and agility of using things that are out of the box and easy to use and easy to consume and bringing kind of new data constituents into the fold and into the process of uncovering and integrating data. But it's also still going to take that core development talent to really build that internal IP that's kind of your secret sauce. So when you think about what that means to your business, I take a hard look at both the Mulesoft and more traditional offerings, but also take a hard look at those iPaaS offerings because they offer kind of two different ends of the spectrum in many ways, and both can add a significant amount of value to your organization. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I'll be more than happy to respond to you. Send me an email, and I'd be more than happy to respond to you that way. And also, if you have any content suggestions, please feel free to share those with me. I love to talk about things that are interesting to you and matter to you and address topics that matter to you so that you can come back and find value in the channel. Thanks so much and see you next time.